Hi, Revere, and welcome to our Revere Veterans and Community Show and to our Post-Tornado Show. Today I have a special guest. His name is Sal Giarratani.
Yes.
Sal, let me welcome you for coming down here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay.
Before we start the show, Sal, you come from East Boston?
I come from East Boston right now, yes.
Yep. And tell us something about what East Boston is like now. By the way, did you people get hit at the tornado at all down there?
We just heard about your tornado. We got the heavy rain, but it didn't drop down till it got to Revere, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, Sal, you're a police officer for 27 years.
Yes.
A sergeant on the police force.
I was a sergeant. I retired in April of 2013.
That's last year.
So I've only been retired now and happy for about 15 months, I think.
Oh, okay. Tell us something about your police work. We'd love to hear about that because you are a community veteran and also a military veteran.
Well, the Department of Mental Health Police is an interesting police force because it's part like police and it's part like social work and it's part this and it's part that. Mostly like for me, my best weapon over the years dealing with clients or people who weren't supposed to be in the building. Sometimes they were the visitors or other strangers. Was my voice. That's the like how to deal with people. I always that was my best weapon because I could always I seem to be able to calm people down just by talking with them as opposed to having to struggle. I don't want to struggle. I could get hurt. They could get hurt.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So we just like talk to each other. And I did it for 27 years. I was altogether 40 with the Department of Mental Health, and then I got to the point where I wanted to retire because I actually retired 4 days before my 65th birthday, so I could tell people I retired when I was 64. So I did like doing that, and they gave me a nice big party. I saw some people that I worked with much earlier in my career. I mean, I went through a lot of people in 40 years.
What were some of your tough assignments, if I could say?
Well, I told somebody that that one time somebody asked me, "You ever shoot anybody?"
I was going to ask you that.
I said no.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
I said, but the best thing I did was one time I saved somebody from killing themselves. I stopped somebody from hanging themselves. Sometimes you develop an instinct when you know something is wrong, and my instinct kicked in, and I found somebody trying to do themselves in, and
who wanted to commit suicide?
Yeah, and I was able to cut them down, and then they started complaining that their neck was sore, and I just told them to sit in the corner. And then 13 years later, this same person was a young woman. At that time, she was like 20-something, and then at some point, I met her again when she was like 35, and she thanked me for saving her life. And I told her that was my job because nobody died while I was working, I said, because there was too much paperwork. So I said, nobody ever died when I worked.
That's good.
But she did thank me, in a serious, she thanked me for saving her life. I said, well, that's the real job of a police officer is to serve and protect, and that's what I did, And I don't like rolling on the ground. I don't want to do that. That's not.
Did you ever get into one of those?
I rolled on the ground many, many times in my life. And when you're younger, it's easier. When you're older, it's not so easy.
I know that.
You can get hurt, even when you're young, but you can especially get hurt when you're old. But I always had a good outlook on my job, and I found it fulfilling, or I wouldn't have stayed 40 years with the Department of Mental Health.
Wow.
That's a long time, or 27 as a police officer.
So let me thank you as a community veteran.
Yeah.
Okay? And by the way, I have to apologize to you. I got to salute you for your service, which I didn't do at the beginning.
That's okay.
Because you people got a raw deal. No, the Vietnam veterans got a raw deal. I know. I was around, as some people like to say, that era.
Yeah.
But you people did get a raw deal. When you came home from Vietnam, you were considered the criminals, and the enemy was considered the good guys by some of us in this country.
It was a tough time back then.
I know. But anyway, thank you again for your service.
We're here. And
right. And before we continue, we give this to each special veteran, a flag, as memory of the Revere Veterans Service and the Revere Allied Veterans Council. And we'd like to present you because this is what you really fought for.
Oh, thank you. I like flags.
Well, you got one now. And
yes.
from the Also, the people of Revere thank you, too. Now, before we continue on, there was also a movie here that you mentioned to me before we went on here. Black Mass?
Yes. I'm sure that people heard about Johnny Depp being in Revere, and they planted palm trees at Revere Beach. This is the movie about Whitey Bulger. And
what is that movie about, if you could
it's just about Whitey Bulger. It's about the whole, that whole story. But this was the first time a movie was actually about Whitey Bulger as opposed to fictional characters who looked like Whitey Bulger.
Okay.
Like The Departed?
Yep.
Yeah. So this was actually, Johnny Depp was actually playing him. And no, I never met Johnny Depp because in the scenes I had, one of the scenes I did was at the Harvard Club on Comm Ave. I was at a dinner. And another scene, I also played an anti-busing protester, and I was outside South Boston High School. And the irony of it was, 40 years ago, I actually was outside South Boston High School, and I actually was protesting busing. Except I was only 20-something at that point.
Wasn't that Louise Day Hicks at the time?
Back in that era, yeah.
Yep.
And I can remember there were several scenes we were doing with the crowd yelling and the buses coming and the police department, the TPF, the dreaded. Everybody who's as old as I am remembers the TPF, Tactical Police Force.
That's right.
Yes. They did. Their reputation preceded them. A lot of people didn't like them because they were like in the front lines. They had the boots, the whole works. Yes. And I can remember one of the scenes. One of the scenes in the movie was funny because we had to try to crash through the police line. Now here I am. What am I? I'm 60-something, right? And so there were all these extras. Well, first of all, I got to tell you how I made it to the front of the line.
I was going to ask you that, but go right ahead.
I was at the back of the line, and I said, I'll never be in the movie if I'm in the back of the line. So I moved right up through all the crowds, and I got right to the front. And
they didn't pick you to go to the front?
No, I went there on my own. So, and I know there were many rules for extras and the things you should and shouldn't do.
Right.
Well, sometimes it's how you do them. See, I got up to the front of the line, and at one point we had to do this push thing against the pretend cops.
Right.
And some of the extras were not really pushing. It was like pathetic. And I said to them, "You people," I said, "I'm like the oldest guy here." I says, and I'm pushing, and I'm looking at you people, and you're not pushing. So I said, I says, remember, these are not real cops. We could do whatever we want to them. This is all pretend here. It's not like we're going to get arrested or anything. I says, push them. So when we had the next scene, God, we pushed them, right? And then the actors who were playing the cops got so mad they pushed this back. I says, it was looking so real. Yeah, but it was fun. And at one point, everybody's saying, don't push so hard. Just make it look like we're pushing hard, because we don't want to get hurt either, But it was 2 15-hour days for me. 15 hours at the high school, 15 hours at the Harvard Club.
Wow.
At the Harvard Club, they gave us all pretend stuff in front of us. It was like the glasses of water were actually could have been sewage water. Don't touch the water, And then everything was fake. Because you couldn't eat anything. Because it was all fake stuff.
Excuse me, Sal. The food that you saw when you were in the restaurant there, that they gave you.
Yeah, it was a pretend food. It was a pretend restaurant. It was a pretend dinner with
pretend
food.
food?
No. They're not going to give you real food. So they give you something.
Yeah, but
and you just pretend you're eting it.
Oh,
that's all. And God forbid if you drink the water. Oh, don't drink the water. All right. But it was just funny. But I must have done that scene, 25 times it seemed like,
Wow.
But I got to tell you, this is really good. This tells you, this is like, a lot of people from Revere probably could enjoy this. I know that people from neighborhoods would enjoy this. So I was with an extra, and he's an extra who's been an extra for a long time. So, he's telling me, well, I'm going to shake the hand of the actor, and then you're going to be next to me, and you're just going to acknowledge him like one of those things.
Right.
I'm going, yeah, he wants to shake his hand because he wants to stay in the movie. So when they said action, he shook his hand. I stuck my hand right out. I shook his hand. And then as we walked away, he said to me, hey, remember, I told you just to did you remember I told you just to nod at him? Yeah. I says, I remembered that. Yeah, sure. I says, I want to be in the movie as much as you. So that's that neighborhood thing going on there.
That's fantastic, Sal. I like that. I would have done the same thing you did.
And in the busing thing, all I did was I just went back inside myself to get back the feeling of how I felt 40 years ago. And once you do that, it's like you're just bringing out how you really felt. And that's why I could play that role so well.
Right now, do the extras, are they volunteers?
No, we get paid.
You do?
Don't get paid a whole lot of money.
No, but I mean, if they need like 100 extras.
Oh, yeah, everybody gets paid.
All 100 of them?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, because I was there 2 days, 15 hours each day.
Wow.
Now, they feed you well. They feed you fantastic.
Oh,
That's
real
good.
food?
Oh, yeah, they do feed you during the day, breakfast and lunch.
Oh, okay.
So you're getting real food to eat.
Oh, okay.
But they also give you real money to do it, right?
I didn't know that. I thought, it's like a lot of people wish they could get into showbiz.
Oh, you know what? The thing that was funny? I knew it was fantasy when, this is so good, outside the South Boston High School building, they had 15 Johns set up for all the extras, right? Every John had soap. Every John had TP. Every John had a mirror, and every John had paper towels. I said I knew it was fantasy. When do you ever see that in a John?
Never.
It was so funny. I said they were clean, and then I just thought that was funny. I said I know it's fantasy now because I've never found a John like this in real life. I just thought I'd throw that out.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I like to talk.
Oh, can I tell you this one more thing?
Whatever you wish.
This is so good. And someone said, how did you find acting? I says, as a police officer, I felt like I was acting for 27 years anyway. Some days I was the good cop, some days I was the bad cop. So I said, life is basically just an act. When you think about it, every day we get up, it's just another scene. How do we get through a day? How do we do it? That's acting.
I have a question for you. Someone asked me that has nothing to do with the show. But
Okay.
just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
You're a retired police officer.
Yes.
You go into let's say a bar or a restaurant and there's a brawl. Do you have a right after you're retired to make an arrest?
No, I just call 911.
Oh, okay. That's the smart thing to do.
You call 911.
So the person who asked me that question, there's your answer.
Yeah. Call 911.
Okay.
I mean, if you're a veteran from the service,
right?
Any branch of the service, like, do you run off the war if you're 65 years old? No. You had your time. Your time is ended. There are other things you can do to support. You're not doing what you used to do. You're doing something else now.
Well, you're my age. You don't worry about the war. Because
no.
Walking up here, even the turtles want to walk with me. They beat me here, too.
They beat you here?
Yeah,
No.
They beat me because they're fast.
Well,
okay.
I got 20 years to catch up with you. I got 20 years.
Yeah.
I still have my hair, by the way. This is always good. I know it's usually longer than this. I just got it cut yesterday, but this is good, strong Italian hair.
That's good because you're in a good Italian neighborhood in the city.
Well, yes.
Okay, now what I'd like to talk to you about, I heard something on the news this morning where you mentioned Whitey Bulger. This has just the opposite effect. They have the market basket problem with two cousins.
Yes.
And I heard on the news before we came here that the judge who gave immunity, oh no, excuse me, let me correct myself. The judge, you were talking about Whitey Bulger. I want to get back to Whitey
Okay,
Bulger.
all right.
The judge who gave Whitey Bulger immunity is dead.
Or the prosecutor, whoever that was. Yes.
Right. His lawyers are appealing the case to have it overturned for him. I wonder if they can actually do that once he's been sentenced like that.
Well, but I don't know because basically the whole thing was based on the fact that the guy who is alleged to have given him immunity is dead. So how do you prove that? That's the difficulty.
So in whose favor would that be? That would be in his favor, I would think, since there's no witness.
No, I would say I would say that
I don't think they're going to.
They can't. I just think if somebody said, "I give you immunity," but they're dead, there's nothing you can do.
Okay.
I think that's
All right, now I want to go back to the subject that I was starting to talk about, the market basket, right? Between the two cousins there, Arthur T. DeMoulas and Arthur S. DeMoulas, right? You live in East Boston, you shop at the Market Basket in Chelsea. I used to.
Every so often, yeah.
Right, too. We have one in Revere here.
Never opened.
Never opened. And I don't understand why they never got together. But let me ask you, the Market Basket people are not union people, or most of them, or they are?
No, they don't have a union, so those workers there.
But they're treated better than some of the union people.
Well, but they organized themselves in this protest.
Oh, I see.
Right, and I mean, like a lot of supermarkets are union, some aren't. This one happens not to be, but the people there organized this protest, and it's been going on a lot longer than most people thought.
Right, about 4 weeks.
Yes, and it's just amazing. There's like this, I call it a food fight inside the family.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's a food fight, right, between cousins,
Did you know
relatives.
The protest that's but not you. I'm not going to mention the state, but there's other protests going on violently. I've never heard any violence on the DeMoulas protest.
No, this has been a pretty good vocal, right? But it's been positive, and the employees have been getting good coverage from the news media. Like, you know, it's
because they haven't done anything bad.
No.
There's nothing to say bad about them.
And they can still draw large numbers of people.
Yep.
Plus numbers of people who are customers too. You know, it's a unique kind of protest.
One gentleman said this morning, that was on TV, by the way, on radio or TV, that they're losing an average of $10 million a day.
They're losing lots of money during this thing.
Right. And a truck driver called up. He says he can't pick up the food from the farmers because he hasn't got any place where to take it to, because a lot of the DeMoulas stores are not open, so the farmers are hurting. Some of the farmers.
Oh.
The truck drivers are hurting. The people that are out of work are hurting. Why don't you just have arbitration? Let the people go back to work, let the stores do their business, and see if it can be worked out by arbitration.
See, it's just too bad that a family feud has led to all this stuff. It's just sad when you see families like tearing each other apart, and this is a public thing because it's a family that owns a large supermarket chain.
You know what they say? Money is the root of all evil?
Yeah.
That's proof.
Well, it's certainly, you know, I'm not too sure, you know, can I tell you, I'm not too sure if it's really over money or power. It's kind of a mix of both, I think. This is a power thing, too, I think. You know, control, power.
Oh, I think you could be right on that,
Yeah.
too. I think you could be right. By the way, since you're a Vietnam veteran, tell us something about your service. I mean, where you were stationed, what you did.
I was lucky. I was in Texas for my whole time, which is why I find Texas a great place to, you know, Texas is my second best place to be.
Was you near a place called, you know, it's funny because when I was working, after I got out of the service, years later, I worked in Midland, Michigan.
Yeah.
But there's also, they sent me to a place called Midland, Texas. I never knew there was another Midland.
Oh, yeah. No, but you know what I was thinking, when I went to Texas for the first time in the service, it was involuntary. I have been there many times voluntarily now. And I get the same thing whether I was 18 or whether I'm 66. People always want me to say something Boston. Say something Boston.
Such as?
Well, so I always say car. And they love it. And you know what the second best word that you can say to somebody if they want to hear Boston? I go, lobster. And I go, scallops. And they go, it's a scallop. I said, no, it's a scallop.
I'm glad you said that because I'm not going to tell you where I've come from, but I'm going to give you my accent and see if you can guess it. I lived in a city near 1st Avenue and 33rd Street near the curb.
You think that's New York?
You get them close.
Yeah.
You name the
Brooklyn?
Right.
Okay, all right. No, but
that's how we talk then.
But people in Boston have this cool accent, I think. And it's getting lost. I'm one of those few people, a lot of people now don't have it as strong as me. It's that neighborhood thing. I enjoy it.
I got to tell you, Sal, the first time I came to Boston, I went into a drugstore and I says, I'd like a chocolate soda.
Yeah.
He says, what'd you say? I said, chocolate soda. He says, can you be more specific? And I explained to him. He says, you mean tonic. That's
Tonic?
what they call it. Yeah.
Well, you know the other word, fraps.
Chocolate fraps.
We don't hear fraps anymore. No.
Shakes.
Shakes. Yeah.
Right.
Milkshake is a milkshake without ice cream.
Yep.
A frap has the ice cream.
By the way, you worked for a newspaper for a long time.
Okay. I work for the, well, I work for many now, but for 35 years I've been a writer / photographer for the Post-Gazette out of the North End.
But you were also a columnist,
Oh, yeah.
and an activist. Tell
Yeah.
us exactly.
Well,
Did you bring one of the papers with you?
I did, yeah. I brought both of my papers with me. Well, I have a third paper now. The Independent Newspapers has a Charlestown Patriot Bridge.
Oh, they do?
And I write for that paper since I have a connection myself and through my mother's family who were townies. But the Post-Gazette is the paper out of the North End.
Yep.
I wish I brought the Charlestown Patriot Bridge, but I forgot. And this is the city paper out of Dorchester. So I do mostly photographs in this one. I do a lot of writing in this one.
And are those free or are they?
And they're both free,
They're both free?
which is a great price.
Definitely.
But, you can also, but you can also go online. You can, they're both on the web, so you can look them up. This is bostoncitypaper.org.
Yep.
This is bostonpostgazette.com. And the reason you have to say Boston is because if you just say Post-Gazette, you get the Pittsburgh paper. So you don't want the Pittsburgh paper. You want the Boston Post-Gazette. All right.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, there is another paper called the Post-Gazette. And so I write about politics a lot. I got my fans. I got my anti-fans.
Oh, you'll always get.
See, some people think I'm way too conservative. I don't think I am. I think I'm somewhat conservative. But you know, I've had conservatives tell me that I was a liberal too. So, but anyway, I get, you know, like I have people who write me letters and say, "Dear Crazy Sal." He's not my fan. Anybody calls me Crazy Sal is not my fan.
And they actually write that.
Oh, on the envelope, and so after,
What is the nicest thing you ever got from one of them? Tell us the nicest letter you ever got from one of your readers.
Oh, I've got plenty of emails. One time I was nice to somebody, and I was outside the newspaper office, and I gave them a copy of the newspaper, and I told them a good restaurant to go eat in the North End, and they sent me the nicest email back to the publisher saying, "What a nice guy Sal was. That's much better than saying Crazy Sal." You know. But I enjoy writing. It's a way to express myself. I enjoy talking too, which is why I want to become an extra who talks. Because
you mean like a talk show host?
No, I want to say words out loud in movies.
Oh.
I also make more money if I do that too. But I mean, Silent Sal seems like an oxymoron because Sal is never silent.
Okay.
Except in the movies as an extra.
Sal, we got about 4.5 minutes. So I want you to take about 2.5 minutes out of that time and talk about anything you wish.
Okay.
Anything you wish.
Okay.
By the way, how long you've been with the papers too?
Oh, well, I've been with the Post-Gazette 35 years.
Wow.
And I've been with the city paper off and on for like 30 years. So I've known all the people a long time, which means that I keep up on local stuff. I know things that are happening in different communities, different neighborhoods of communities. See, I always think that my passion is to live life, to talk about life, to get people to think about life, to interest people in things that are happening, to get them involved, and also to make sure that people are staying relaxed. There's no sense going crazy Sal, because you don't get anything out of that. No one has to go, you know, just look at life and do the best you can.
By the way, I have to say this to you. That person's life you saved when we first talked on the show, do they still make contact with you once in a while?
No, I haven't seen them since that time I saw them about 15 years ago. But you know what? I was glad to hear that she was okay.
That's
Much less than I was glad to hear her say thank you, because you know that was just an extra thing for her to say thank you to
That
me.
was real
I was
nice.
glad to see her alive. You know, but I think most of the time we need to live our lives and enjoy our lives, the people that we meet during our lives, and it's okay to share your thoughts. It's okay to express opinions. That's all good because that's what we're here for.
that's right.
To be part of life. And I always consider myself to being a part of the bigger picture. I'm not the main star. I'm not, I am just one of those roles in life that we all share with each other.
Yep.
And that's what you do too. I mean, look, you have people come on here and they're able to talk about themselves and stuff that's important to them, and you give them that venue.
That's good.
And I appreciate that. And I
Yep.
salute you.
Thank you.
And I shake your hand too.
Okay, before we wrap up, Sal, I have to thank you, and because you brought something to refresh my memory. If any of you people out there would like to be on the Revere TVA Community and Veteran Show, you don't have to be a veteran in the military. Whatever you do that's good for the community, we'd love to have you come on. You could email us at reveretv.org, or you can call us at 781-426-9498. And if you have something good to say, something good to do, let us know. And any military veteran who served from World War II right on up to Afghanistan, everyone is welcome to come on this show. So I salute all of yous out there. And by closing, Sal, I want to say thank you for coming. God bless you.
Okay.
Thank you. God bless our troops, our armed forces, and America.
And I just want to say one more thing.
Shoot.
Revere TV did a great job covering the recent tornado.
Yep.
As did the Revere Journal.
And so did the Advocate, too.
Yeah, in the Advocate. That was a devastating 4 minutes of people's lives. So, and I was here 15 minutes afterwards, and Revere has bounced back pretty well.
Okay,
They
Sal.
bounce.
Thank you again for
Okay.
coming, and thank you for honoring us, sir.
Good.
And to all your listeners out there, thank you, and hope to see you on the next great show.